Welcome back to Super Metroid. Last time, we've arrived back on planet Zebus, chasing down Ridley. We've managed to make our way inside the ruins of old Brinstar, found the Morph Ball, and destroyed a Torizo sentry to get the bombs. So before we go on, one thing to mention, and I mentioned this in the intro of the previous video, is yes, this game has a map. Which, especially given the previous two games, has done wonders. Not only is the overall map layout of this game designed to work in a way that's conducive to exploration and having an overall path, the map of the game, at least in my own head, I tend to think of in terms of 3 large connected circles. But it also maps out where you have been, where you have not been. You can even download sections of the map at certain terminals, letting you see places you haven't been. And this is wonderful for first-time players figuring out where to go and what to do. Now, something else we did just last time was get the bombs. So unlike Metroid 2, in this game you can morph in the air. You can press down once in order to shoot straight down, and pressing down again will let you morph in the air. I didn't speak too much detail about how Alcatraz Escape is done when I showed it off, but the idea is mostly to wall jump and then morph very quickly. And that will get you out of the hole. It's shockingly precise, though, and not terribly easy to pull off. Now that we have the bombs, let's take a brief moment to actually speak about the mechanics of the bombs. So it appears you can only have 3 bombs on the screen at a time. There is also a delay between where you can press them, and you almost can't lay bombs faster than they detonate. They have a much faster detonation time than they did in Metroid 2. And while it was impossible to bomb jump in Metroid 1, and though I initially deemed it impossible, people have told me that you can in fact bomb jump in Metroid 2, infinite bomb jump specifically, in Metroid 2, it kind of becomes moot very quickly because you get the spider ball. However, in Super Metroid, not only can you infinite bomb jump, but it can be used in many places to get to locations you otherwise wouldn't be able to get to. Infinite bomb jumping, there are several ways to do it. There is a fast way and a slow way. I'm doing terribly at it. There we go. There's a fast way to do it. What I just did there was a very simple jump that you can do in order to get yourself up just a little bit if you need to get up 3 to 5 squares high. You can continue that jump infinitely, but I do not know how, and I haven't practiced enough to do it. The way I infinite bomb jump, or the way you do that triple one, is simply laying a bomb, and then right as, or yes, I would say as the bomb is exploding, you put another bomb down in the exact same place. Then at the peak of your jump, you lay your third bomb. You'll fall back down just in time for that second bomb to explode, which shoots you up just in time for the third bomb to explode, bringing you up all the way. The way I infinite bomb jump, you get kind of a pattern down. But mostly you're just placing a bomb at approximately the same location that you previously placed a bomb. preferably just a little bit higher, and then you can infinitely gain height. It's very slow, but very reliable. There are much more advanced ways that you can bomb jump diagonally and even horizontally. So now that we've gained the bomb and explained the mechanics of that, let's continue our adventure. So we're back on the ship, and one of the first things you may be inclined to do is looking over here, back at this odd string of blocks, which you do find when you explode, destroys them in awkward chunks, but certainly will let you across, only to encounter another green door, which I showed off last time. Now, if you want to go up all the way, I won't be showing this off due to the time it takes to bomb jump, but if you come all the way up here, you can infinite bomb jump straight up to get on top of this cliff ledge. However, there is also a door up there that we cannot open. A more practical means for it, however, is getting up this here, which I'm not going to do, but getting up here is a place that you absolutely can get, and contains a number of goodies but not required power-ups. We will return to that later. Where you should be going, or where you would be more inclined to go, is instead back this way, where you'll encounter that same weird block over here, and you can see on the map that something leads this way. Before we go this way, though, there's also this passage down here. Which we saw last time and couldn't do anything about, with some additional misses. There are also a few goodies that we can get if we want to go all the way back down. Also, this is very curious, and I really like this. Because if you simply place a bomb here, more often than not, I find you'll simply be pressing against the wall anyway, in that kind of subconscious, I want to be going in this direction, so I'm going to hold preemptively until the bomb explodes. But the bomb will push you into the air, and as long as you're pushing to the right, you'll immediately go in here, without even thinking about it, and go, oh, there's something up here. And then you go to the right, you fall through some breakable blocks, and it's just a quick way back. It's nothing fancy, but it's something the game leads you to do that just makes it easy for you to get back. There are a few items that we can get if we go all the way back down, but I'm going to hold off on them for the moment, since that would mostly just eat up a lot of time. So we can continue our adventure. This room is a little painful. It's not too bad, really. But because of the angle that it goes at, it's very easy to run into that Geemer, and these waivers are generally a pain to hit. And you are gifted right out in the open your first energy tank. Again, a nice way to kind of make sure you have some degree of preparation for the adventures you're going to be going on, and also showing to you the kind of power-ups you can get. Now, you find more space pirates, and while we could kill the original ones, you cannot kill these. But we do have missiles, which is the only other weapon we have, so it would make sense, of course, to try to kill them with it. These space pirates have a very high rate of dropping missiles, so it's very likely you'll get a missile out of killing them. You'll be drawn to the red door, of course. This red door is more guarded, more likely to contain something interesting, and this door leads to an area that isn't on map. A very different area. Smoky and mechanical. Immediately, you're kind of put on a cautious mindset again. So the door locks behind you, but then quickly opens. But it does give you a moment to look at this statue. This, of course, is the representation of the Kraid and Ridley statues from Metroid 1, allowing you to go into Torian, and serves the same function in this game. The music here, though, the water, the little plants growing on the other side, this very much sets a mood. That almost breathing. It's not music per se, but it kind of is. Now you'll encounter a couple interesting enemies in here, more gamers, that you can't kill. Even with missiles, so you're forced to ignore them, and then you come across this, which you shoot and only makes the screen rattle and spits out small insects. The small insects, of course, end up being more trouble than they're worth, and these you can even stand on. So, unless you need supplies, I would suggest simply staying away from them. And another elevator. We've only encountered the one. I can't help but smile. As a child playing this the very first time I came down this elevator, you don't know what you're going into. You've only gone down one other elevator up until now, and you find this one hidden off on the side of the entire area. And as you come down, you hear this slow build-up, and then the music kicks in just as the platform ends, with nothing but greenery growing around you. It's a serious mode, but not a dreadful one. It's energetic. It feels like this area is going to be dangerous, but it encourages you to explore it. So here we come across the Brinstar gamers. They take 2 hits to kill. And that is the other Ripper. I believe that's the Ripper 2. You again cannot hurt it, not even with missiles, and it moves a bit faster. We find 2 red doors, and we're unsure what is in either one. A side hopper immediately that will likely jump into and hurt you. And the door locks behind you as well, so you're trapped in here. So all you can do is move forward. But you do get the map, thank goodness. So we see an area down here that we've already been to, that we can rationalize being what was below the previous one and still in Brinstar. And at least at first glance, looks like it may connect back to Brinstar on the right-hand side. Where we are, though, is over here. And it's at least given us a hint about this vertical hallway and the various rooms we're going to be encountering along the way. It may not be immediately obvious that you are supposed to bomb the sides of that. But you will notice when you come over to it that the screen scrolls over, and even the gray dips down on the bottom, letting you know that there's likely something over there, and you'll get in the habit of, if you don't know, shoot things, bomb things, and you'll find your way in. Here we saw the gray door, and once we killed the final enemy, it started blinking. Thankfully, it happened while it was right in front of us, so now we know that's a pretty likely way to open gray doors. Kill all the enemies in the room. So we have another door over here that appears to lead somewhere important. And if we try to run, we very quickly fall down. Get a missile expansion. You can bomb through there, especially with the enemies drawing your eye. But not any further. But you see all these gates lowering in your way. So let's try that again, but running this time. Ah, you can run. But the gates are already lowered, so we're going to have to leave the room. Nope. The gate lowers too fast, so we can't go in there right now. We're going to have to come back later. Except we actually can go in there right now. This move is where most speedrunning begins. It's one of the most important tricks to get one of the most important sequence breaks in Super Metroid. And that's the mock ball. I don't think I did it. Man, I'm out of practice at this. There we go. Third try. A red door at the end, an item, a reserve tank at that. Reserve tanks were newly added in Super Metroid, and they really didn't add a lot. The idea is once you collect energy beyond your raw energy tanks, they instead start filling up your reserve tanks. The reserve tanks, you can refill your own health whenever you want to by setting it to manual, or at auto. When you run out of energy, your reserve tanks are emptied, filling them up. As long as you set this on auto, it's effectively like just having more energy tanks. And it kind of makes sense why reserve tanks were never really used again. They don't add anything to gameplay. Now from here, of course, you do see the pipe going off in the distance. So let's go see what we get, and that's a missile. So more missiles for us. And it's a little bit weird that this wall is here. So much of the room is filled up, so... another missile. Now, the reserve tank wasn't actually the sequence break. Because you'll very quickly notice that you can't get out. So you just have to start shooting things until you shoot this part of the ceiling, which did actually appear to be a vaguely different kind of block. Down here may also be something that you try, though there's nothing there. And once you can come up here, you can just jump this high. Oh, actually you can't. Well, it's a sequence break. You shouldn't come up here until you have the high jump boots anyway, technically. And more stronger enemies. I hate waivers because they're very hard to hit. And at the end of our trek, we find a super missile. This is not obviously not the natural way to find a super missile. But super missiles were first introduced in Super Metroid. And on getting it, you immediately crumble through that and find your way back down. So I'm going to refrain from using super missiles until we get them naturally, which won't be too far from here. But this also ensures that you don't have to come back to this location, which is nice. So a super missile does 5 times the damage of a regular missile. Or is it 3? I forget. And they carry separate ammo. This does complicate matters a little bit, and I can see why in later games they kind of rework missiles to be an energy-based concussive blast instead of this game where it appears to be a physical missile that fires out. Because that then let them make a super missile effectively a charge missile, or a weapon that consumes 5 regular missiles. This way you're not moving around between multiple selectable items, having to juggle various kinds of ammunition. I can understand where they're coming from with that. But for this game, it's a separate ammo pickup and a separate weapon. Given that they do 5 times the damage of a normal missile, or something similar, they will open a red door in one go. And inside we find a save point. So continuing down, we find 2 red doors and a very suspicious gamer down there. It doesn't appear that there's any way down there, but you see a gamer you want to investigate, and that is a funny symbol that we're going to have to remember for later. Well, this says that there's something off to the left, and right appears to be progress, so left it is first. Now in the demo reel, you did actually see this room, briefly. And you saw these, what do they call them? They're not fireflies. Or maybe they are. But you kill one, and immediately the room gets darker. Just a shade, but for sure darker. I like the way that the room is pulsing with light. Good stuff. Oh, they're fire fleas, I think. But yeah, you don't kill them. Ah, missile recharge. Not a big deal, and it's kind of a pain to go through this room to get to a missile recharge, so that's why in normal playthroughs you very rarely see people go into this room. There were a lot of red doors outside, though, so it is kind of nice that they gave you a missile recharge. So onwards we go, out of the green into the pink. What an amazing alien... Sorry, I got distracted by not dying. What an amazing alien biome this looks like, though. Everything covered in this weird pollen. You can almost feel that the ground is going to be kind of ashy. Almost. Like, what kind of environment is this? I love it. Instead of just making something, oh, it's rocky, or it's got plants growing on it, I love you're on an alien world. If they could come up with an alien atmosphere, go for it. So you continue on dealing with these guys. They're kind of annoying. You can do the same trick where you just lead them up on the very edge of the screen, and then you can jump up and kill them. Okay, so there's clearly something on the other side, so we start bombing. There's clearly something down here, though we cannot get to it with anything that we have. And over here are more screes, or shriekbats, or whatever. Regular shots don't do anything, and neither do missiles. All you can do for the time being is bait them down. I don't know what this is supposed to be, maybe poop. And this brings us now to a very large room. Tall, wide. There's a save point up top, though. Not that we're terribly far from the last save point. So the enemy spawners return in this game. They've been in pretty much every Metroid game. I like how they're handled in this game, though. They're never nearly as big a threat as they were in the NES Metroid. If you're not bad. You come up over here? No, I have to be closer. They're not nearly as big a threat as they were in the NES Metroid. But they're a mild nuisance and serve as a way to recharge on supplies. So we see the save point off to the left, and it's up to us to figure out where it is. This is the most suspicious place, so let's take a look here, and that is a save point. Can I? Sure can. So before we go to the right, because that's progress, let's continue exploring this area. Just the little things, like this slanted ceiling, the big archway over there. It just lends itself to this being a natural space. Except for, you know, over here, which is a little more obviously unnatural and designed for gameplay reasons. So we come down here and we see a yellow door, which we don't have any means of opening. Up here, we see this weird block that we can't really interact with. And we did see the side hoppers down here. And of course, you get out then by falling through the crumble blocks. This is another place that you can do some minor sequence breaking, though. Because you can jump up here, and as long as you can wall jump, especially single wall jumping, you can make it up here to get this missile. We can't completely sequence break, though, because we need another item to go any further that way. Come on, get back up there. I just wanted to take a brief look around. I knew that was there, but I wanted to see what you see up here. Because I feel like you would at least be somewhat inclined to try bombing this, or maybe even think, oh, a way out is bombing this and going through that little block down there, which looks like you would either break it and then get pooped out there, or some such. So I think it's reasonable to assume that that is breakable and test it with a bomb. Here we have another spawner, in case you want to recharge. Missiles down here. You can very obviously see something down there and some breakable blocks here, so you're probably inclined to go check this out. And you get the charge beam. Charge beam has, since Super Metroid, been a staple of Metroid. And after firing, it now lets you charge to shoot out a much more powerful blast. This isn't a huge deal, at least right now, but what they have done as well is make most bosses immune to your regular beam. In, say, Metroid 1, most bosses could be harmed by your normal beam. In Metroid 2, the Metroids can only be harmed by missiles, but you were never locked in a room with a Metroid. You could always leave. Even the Queen. So of course, in Super, if you're going to fight a boss and run out of missiles, they need a way for you to still harm the boss. And that's where the charge beam comes in. It's generally your least effective means of harming them until later, but it does serve as that. Now, something else here that would be less obvious, but maybe something you would find either fooling around, or if you recalled Metroid 1 and 2, is going through the tube underneath the statue. And we see once again this weird symbol. Going over this way, we again find a green door, and we cannot proceed. And so that is it for the pink room. At this point now, we have to go through the top. It's the only way left for us to go. No, I killed them already. So through we go. And here we will find one of the more powerful enemies in the game, the Key Hunters. And if you want to fight them with just the beam, you're going to be in for a fight. Also, if you want to try jumping over them or dodging them, if you shoot them enough, you actually knock off their wings and they start hopping at you, eventually spitting this toxic goo at you. The easiest way to fight them is to simply let them charge at you, and you shoot a missile at them. What in the world are these? Just all the little bits of alien something that make you go, Key Hunter eggs, maybe? Baby Key Hunters? Anyway, you have to kill them before you can open this door. And we can even see that there is a point of notice here, so sure. So you can shoot these, which give you missiles. And creepy music aside, we encounter something else resembling a boss. So when it slows down and opens up, you simply have to shoot a missile inside. You can generally get 2 missiles in. I think you can get more if you're good. If you have them already, you can even use super missiles. Though you shouldn't have them already. And if you run out of missiles, these green things will give you more missiles. I do find it interesting that they put a green door there at the bottom. Because we have no means of opening a green door. Well, technically we do. So I have found, playing this game as a child, if I'm going to run up there and dance around with this thing, that's a pain in the butt. So the first thing I did, of course, was look for safe spots. And the best safe spot I found, I think I found one on the bottom near the door, but the best safe spot I found by far is this location right here. You get here, you turn around just a little bit to the right, and the entire fight is sleep mode. This boss, by the way, is called Spore Spawn, and is pretty much never seen, because there's really no reason to fight him if you can mockball. But seeing that green door at the bottom may even give you some hint about what you're going to get from this. If you're locked in the room with them, of course, you're probably going to get something to leave the room. But instead it doesn't. He becomes a platform and the way up opens up. I remember it always being kind of a pain to get up here without wall jumping. Like, it's not that hard, but boy, when I was playing this game as a kid, I remember, like, I couldn't get up here to save my life. Fall back down 100 times. Okay, we're back in normalcy to a degree. And then we fall. This is entirely off map, so we don't know what we're in for. There's our reward. Where you are supposed to get super missiles. Though we haven't had a reason to fire it yet. We'll see its power in a moment. Wasn't holding the controller in a way that was conducive to angling down. So, a green door. Well, we just got a green missile. I love that little touch. Not only does the screen shake when you hit something with a super missile, but those two enemies fall out of the ceiling. And I love that. It's just that little additional touch to let you know that this thing hits hard. And that is a mechanic that can be used even later on in the game. Not in normal gameplay, but if you want to do some real hecky stuff with speed running and sequence breaking, you can use the super missile to take advantage of the fact that it will knock crawling enemies off platforms. So that brings us here. Super missile. And this just takes us back outside. And at this point, you think, wait, does that mean, well, you need super missiles in order to break that block. So let's go back real quick. Because Spore Spawn is something you'll pretty much never see in regular gameplay, or in high-level gameplay. Because you can simply do that for Smock Ball, get the super missile, and sequence break. However, you may still want, if you're perhaps going for 100%, you may still want that super missile. So do you have to go through the very long, arduous Spore Spawn fight? I forget where this is. Where's the hole? There it is. Found it. But this super missile block is kind of in the way. And try as you might, if you shoot a super missile in there, it goes off screen and can't destroy the block. So what do? There you go. And then you can go in this way and take the super missile right out from under Spore Spawn, which means that there is now absolutely no reason to ever fight Spore Spawn. You Mock Ball to get the first super missile, and then you can break this block with that in order to get Spore Spawn's super missile, and then you never have to fight him. So to do this, I took advantage of a weird screen scrolling bug, I guess you could say. When you're up against the edge of the screen like this, when you fire, the game understands it as being the edge of the screen, and in turn despawns anything that goes beyond the screen. However, if you can scroll the screen just a little bit in this direction, it now acknowledges that that is not the end of the screen, and so the shot can continue on. It's not quite that simple, though, but that's the gist of it. The shot will still despawn, but what I did was a very specific movement to put myself right here with my gun lined up with this growth out of the ground. At this very specific location, your missile will continue off the edge of the screen. I don't understand the specifics of it, but you are abusing the screen scrolling in multiple screens and such. So with that said, Spore Spawn is done. We now have the super missile. We're beginning our adventures in Brinstar. And I say, until next time, everyone, I'm going to go up here and save. And we can continue next time going into Brinstar's depths.